Day 696 of doing a LeetCode problem every day until I get a job. All right, y'all, we're back again. Another day, another LeetCode problem where we're doing daily LeetCode problems. And today we have question number 2840. Check if strings can be made equal with operations 2. The difficulty level is medium, but don't worry because you already know we're going to keep the solution as simple and easy to understand as possible. But before we get started, y'all, don't forget to like, hype, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you need any new Apple AirPods, go and check out that link in the description so you can get you some. Now let's see what the question says. You are given two strings S1 and S2, both of length and consisting of lowercase English letters. You can apply the following operation on any of the two strings as any number of times. Choose any two indices I and j such that I is less than j and the difference between j minus I is even. Then swap the two characters at those indices in the string. Return true if you can make the strings S1 and S2 equal and false otherwise. Alright, y'all, so that sounds simple enough, but let's go ahead and take a look at these examples anyway, just to make sure that we are doing this problem correctly. So, in example 1, we have our input S1 equals a string A, B, C, D, B, A. S2 equals a string C, A, B, D, A, B. So before we continue, let me just go ahead and copy and paste these over here so y'all can see what is going on as we walk through this. So boom, bring this right here, boom. Now let's go. The output is true, so let's look at the explanation so we can see how they got the output. It says we can apply the following operations on S1. So we could choose indices I equals 0 and j equals 2. The resulting string is S1 equals a string CBA So let's see, it says we're choosing any two indices I and j such that I is less than j. So I is 0 and j is 2, so I is less than j. Then it says, and the difference between I and j is, or j minus I is even. So j minus I, 2 minus 0 is 2, so that's even. It passes that test. Then it says, then swap the two characters at those indices in the string. So we're looking at this string right here. So indice I would be this A, and J would be 2. So 1, 2. That means this C. So we are going to swap. Let me see. Swap the. Yeah, so we're going to swap the A with the C. After we swap the A with the C, it becomes this, right? Hold on. Boom. So let's do that over here. Swap the A. That becomes a C, and swap the C becomes an A. Boom. Now we are left with this right here, CBADBA. Make sure that lines up. CBADBA. Yep, okay. Then we're going to choose the indices I equals 2 and j equals 4. So once again, I is less than j, 2 is less than 4, and 4 minus 2 is even, right? So it passes those first two checks. Then it says the resulting string is S1 equals CBBDAA. So once again, we're going to swap index I, which would be this A, to index 2. So we're going to swap this A with index 4. So that'd be 2, 3, 4. So this A with this B. So this B, sorry, this B becomes an A, and this A becomes a B. Boom. So let's see. It should be CBBDAA, CBBDAA. Okay, boom. Then we're going to choose indices I equals 1 and j equals 5. Once again, 1 is less than 5, and 5 minus 1 is 4, which is even. So it passes the first two requirements. Let's see. It says the resulting string. Once again, so let's see if we can do it ourselves first before we see what the resulting string is. So index I will be this 1, this B right here, boom. And index 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with this A, boom. So we'll turn this A to a B and turn this B to an A, boom. So it says the resulting string is S1 equals a string CABDAB. Is that what we got? CABD. Oh, sorry, wrong one. CABDAB. Yep. And that also equals S2. So S1 and S2 now equal each other, right? So S2 is CABDAB and S1 is CABDAB. So since that was possible, we return true if we can make strings S1 and S2 equal. We were able to do that, so we return true. Boom. So now let's take a look at example 2. So in example 2, input S equals a string ABE, or excuse me, S1 equals a string ABE, S2 equals a string BEA. The output is false. It says it is impossible to make the two strings equal. So in this case, we cannot make the two strings equal because even though we have the letters or the characters that we need, we won't be able to follow these requirements such that J minus I will not always be even. So it's impossible to do with those two requirements, so the output is false, y'all. Boom. So now that we understand the question, let's get into the fun part, the actual solution. The solution is not that difficult at all. Now, first thing we want to do is we need to store the frequency arrays for characters that even indices in S1 and S2. So we'll declare a variable, call it even1, and we'll set that equal to an array of integers. Come outside of that, open up the parentheses. It's going to be repeating, colon 0, comma, count, colon 26 for the 26 characters in the alphabet. Then we're going to do the same thing but we'll just call it even2. So we can copy and paste this. Boom. But this time we'll call this one even2. Sorry, y'all. Boom. Now we need to do the same thing and get the frequency arrays for characters at odd indices. So that was for the even indices. Now we need to do the odd indices. So once again, we could just copy and paste this here, and we can copy and paste this here, and we'll change this one to odd 1. Boom, and we'll change this one to odd 2. Boom. Now we need to get the ASCII value of A to normalize the characters A through 0, or for A to be 0, B will be 1, and all the way up to Z. So we'll say, come underneath this, and we'll say, let base equal character, open up the parentheses, open up the quotation marks, pass in A. Then we'll say dot ASCII value and unwrap it with the exclamation point like that. Boom. Now we're going to traverse the first string by saying for, open up the parentheses, I, comma, C. Come outside of that. That's going to be the index and characters. So you already know we're going to need to use enumerated. We're going to say NS1 dot enumerated. Sorry, enumerated. Put the parentheses, boom, and then we're going to open up the brackets. Boom. Now we need to convert the characters to the index 0 through 25 for the ASCII value. So we're going to say let index equal, it's going to be an integer, so int, open up the parentheses, pass in c.ascii value, put the exclamation point minus base. Boom. Now, if the index is even, we're going to update the even frequency array by coming underneath this, and we'll say if I mod 2 equals 0, because remember, this is going to get the remainder. So if I divided by 2 is equal to 0, or excuse me, if I divided by 2 has a remainder of 0, that means it's even. We're going to say even square bracket index. Come outside of that, and we'll say plus equals 1. Boom. Otherwise, we're going to update the odd frequency array. So we'll come right here and say else, open up the parentheses, odd 1 square bracket index. Come outside of that, plus equals 1. Boom. Then we're going to traverse the second string. So we'll come underneath this, and we'll say do the same thing for, open up the parentheses, I, comma, C. Come outside of that, and this time we're going to say S2 dot enumerated. Put the parentheses, open up the brackets, and we're going to convert the character into convert it to its index again in the ASCII value. So we're going to say let index equal int, open up the parentheses, c.ascii value, once again, exclamation point, minus base. Boom. Now, if it's an even, then we're going to update the even frequency. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did. Up there, we're going to say if I mod 2 equals 0. We'll open up the brackets, but this time we're going to say even 2. Sorry, y'all. First we did even 1. Now we're doing even 2 square bracket index. Say plus equals 1. Then otherwise, we'll put this else, and we'll do odd 2 square bracket index. Come outside of that, plus equals 1. Boom. Now we're going to compare the frequency distribution. Strings are considered equal if the even index characters match in frequency and odd index characters match in frequency. So we'll come right here and we will say return even 1 equals even 2 and 2 and signs odd 1 equals odd 2. Boom, y'all. That should be all she wrote. Let's give it a run. Make sure it runs properly before we submit it. It's accepted, so let's go ahead and submit it. Make sure it's still accepted. Let's see, and look at that, y'all. 70 milliseconds beats 100% of users. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to see, y'all. So before we go, make sure you get one more look at the code. This is the top part. This is the bottom part. And yeah, y'all, with that being said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I hope to see y'all here tomorrow for another day, another LeetCode problem. See y'all then.